Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. I'm going to be showing you the new Japanese heavy tanks. As you can see, it goes across here on the tank line. I've been playing the Type 4 Heavy and the Type 5 Heavy. This is actually on the test server, so it's not a live server. This is for World of Tanks 10.0. I'm also going to show you something cool over here. You'll notice that Czechoslovakia has been added, although there are no Czechoslovakian tanks at this time. But they have been announced. Okay, so back to here. As you can see, I've played the Hago, the Kei-ni, the Chi-ni, the Chi-ha, the Chi-hei, the Chi-nu, and the Chi-to, and the Chi-nu-kai. But I've probably played some of these others on the test server, but I have not played the Kei-ho or the Chi-ria and up. And I played the Type 4 Heavy, the Type 5 Heavy. Let's begin here at the beginning. We're going to show you what these tanks are. This is obviously a Tier 2 medium. The gun, 75 damage, is pretty good. 55 penetration with the premium rounds is decent. Armored, nothing special about the armor. The Type 91. Type 91 is a little bit of a different story. You've got a Tier 4 gun option. With the premium rounds, does 122 penetrations, which is great. The damage is only 70, which is okay. But it is the rate of fire is every 2 seconds, which is very good, especially considering the high penetration. And as usual, this one has a lower rate of fire. It's every 4 seconds. Does more damage. That's a Type 91. That's a Tier 3 heavy tank. Let's see the Type 95, which is a Tier 4 heavy tank. It looks like it has the same guns as the Tier 3 version. So that Tier 3 Type 91 is going to be one of those tanks where you're going to have a real advantage in the game. And the Type 95 is going to be one of those tanks where you're probably not going to really gain much other than a little bit of armor when you upgrade to the Type 95. Like I said, the guns appear to be... that one's definitely identical, and this one is identical. No, it's not identical, but it's similar. But this gun is used on other tanks. Okay, so then we've got this other tank, the looks like O1 Experimental. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. It's got it's got 4 different gun options. This one is a derp gun. It's pretty good penetration. And this one has a nice penetration, long reload. I usually, as you can see, this one here, these top 2 guns, the second one does a lot more damage, same penetration, but it has a longer reload time. So this is an interesting tank because you have the derp gun option, and the derp gun option, I think it's really good if you have a fast tank. What I've been doing with my SU-152, it's really great to just pop around the corner and blast somebody and one-shot them. I do it a lot with that tank. So now we've got the OI, or it's also possibly the O1. This is a Tier 6 tank, and it's got a Tier 7 gun. The 200 penetration over here is really good, 300 damage, but then you've also got this derp gun option, which does 700 damage, and the penetration is also pretty good. It's a howitzer. So you have that option for people who, this is another tank. These 2 tanks, the OIs, give you the derp gun option for players who like to play it. The Oni, let's see how we're doing with the guns. The same gun. This one is obviously a better gun. Not that much better, but it's a little bit better. the penetration goes up by 10, which is 5% better. Or 15 for the regular ammo. And you get the option of the derp gun. So here's another case where when you upgrade to the tier 7, it's not going to be that much greater than the tier 6, except for perhaps the armor. The tier 8, let's see what you got here. Looks like you're going to have, for the most part, either the same gun choices, or you've got this derp gun here. Doesn't do that much damage. But if you want to use regular rounds and save some money on the rounds, you're going to do decent penetration and damage as compared to the stock gun. So that's one of the advantages of that gun. The Type 4, I have played this tank, and it does a decent amount of damage. Look at that, 600 damage. That's pretty good. That's the type you want. A lot of tanks that are in this class do around 400 damage. So to get up to 600 is pretty good. And obviously it's a tier 10 gun, and it's the same gun that's used in the Type 5 Heavy. Armor is a little bit better with the Type 5 Heavy. And you've got that 750 signal range. So now the Type 4 Heavy, it's a sluggish tank. These top two tanks are not that fast. And at first I thought the guns were not amazing. But they do a reasonable amount of damage. It's just because weird things were happening the first times I was playing. It happens sometimes. You have bad games where you're not sure where your gun is pointed, and it took a long time for the turret to spin around. I get a lot of ricochets off of the armor. I'd say that the gun is pretty good. This might be one of those tanks where it's you might get some good games out of it if you know how to play it right. Unfortunately, they're slow tanks, so you're always going to be the last one to show up to battle. Same thing with something like a Mouse or a T-95. And it's difficult to chase after enemy tanks. Okay, so that's the new line of Japanese tanks that has come through. I'm going to show you some of them in the garage. This is obviously one of them. And when you compare this with the other one, you can see that they're nearly identical. Obviously, there's difference with the side armor here, but for the most, and the emblem moved, but for the most part, they're the same. 282 600, 282 600. Looks like the same gun. Now the crew is the same. There are 6 crew members. When you use the premium tanks, it's great to have lots of crew members to train because they each get trained the same amount. They don't share the training. But this is a tank that you'll need 6 crew members. So what could happen is that if the tanks before it don't have 6 crew members, you might end up with some guys that have a lot of skill and some that don't. Okay, so that's the Japanese line. Let's see what else the changes were. I didn't really notice anything different yet. In the Germans, there is a tank called the Little Mouse, the Mauschen, which is supposed to be the Tier 9. It's not here. You'll see that the SPIC or the SP1C is still here as a replacement tank. I didn't see any changes here. I don't know if this M4A2E4, this must be a new tank, because at that price, 1,500 gold, I would have bought it. And I don't own it yet, so that must be one of the new tanks in the game. going through, I don't see any other changes. So I'm going to go back to that American one. Tier 5 tank with a Tier 4 gun. I advocate the purchase of these types of tanks. This is a tank that will cost you $6 at the regular price. And when it's on a discount, maybe you'll get it for $3. But the reason why I advocate it is because it will do an excellent job of training up your crew on your medium tanks and earning you credits. So that's why I recommend it. And that's why I own every premium tank except for a few. I don't have this one here. I don't have any of these Chinese ones. But for the most part, anything that's Tier 7 and under, I own them all. Okay, so I'm going to get into a game with one of these tanks. Actually, I'm going to show you how it works with Rampage. This is the successor to Domination. You've got the Domination and the Steel Hunt. There was also Supply Swarm. And you'll notice that you have certain tanks available. Some of mine might... Okay, you click over here, and it will show you all the tanks that you have available. So I could choose some of these tanks and get them into battle. So it looks like you have a choice of 3 tanks. Tier 8, 9, and 10. And then you go into battle with the Rampage. And I've actually not played yet, so this is going to be my first game with Rampage. It is possible that there might be a really long wait. I had a game that went 5 minutes, and I just ended up canceling it. If you look at a tank like a Chinu Kai or a Chinu, this does look like a large version of a Chinu. I wish I could pause the video and let you advance right to the point where the game starts. It could go on for a long time. So what I recommend is, in case there's a long wait, why don't you advance your video to the next location, or I'll try and splice 2 videos together so you don't have to worry about it.